Welcome back to the grind. I was hoping to wait for some more details on this scoring changes for the PvP events. However, unfortunately, there has not been a whole lot of definitive answers other than it has been confirmed that it will be going live in this Fight Pits PvP event. So I did want to put out a video discussing those upcoming changes prior to the event starting, and any new information I will try to get out as soon as possible. So the previous way that points were attributed in PvP events was depending on the level of the opponent. So the highest level player on the opponent's team would be worth max points, which is 125 points. And the lowest level player on the team would be worth 75 points, the minimum number of points. And everyone in between would be worth a certain amount of points on a scale relative to what level they are compared to their highest and lowest team members. So now they're changing that, so the player with the highest defensive power will be worth the most points, and the player with the lowest defensive power will be worth minimum points. Now, at first, this seemed like a reasonable idea in order to limit the ability for teams to take their strongest player, wipe the base completely, and tell their allies to attack them for very quick, easy max points. And that could be frustrating for certain teams because if they don't realize that that player has done that, they're fighting hard for their points and the opponents are getting easy points for an easy win. However, while this might seem like a fair change for higher level players in higher leagues to, incentivize attacking stronger bases and rewarding those who can attack stronger bases rather than just finding the base that was built poorly and was the weakest. While those are some nice benefits of this change, some people don't feel like the players that have high levels and terrible bases should be rewarded and that they should be worth a lot of points because they need to fix their base. But the main issue is that the lower level players who are just starting out in PvP events and are struggling already to get points in PvP are going to struggle that much more, because let's say you're level 150 and you've just gotten to the point where you can clear some bases that are reasonably strong, and that means that a really high level with a very weak base, you might be able to defeat it now, and you can start earning maybe 100, 120, 125 points if you're lucky. If you find that base, that would really help those low-level players in order to score a reasonable amount of points in PvP to do well and succeed and progress. Now, it doesn't matter if you're strong enough to defeat those weak high-level bases. If you are lower level, you are really going to struggle to get points in PvP because you have to attack much stronger bases based on the defense power rather than just the level of the base. So this change, unfortunately, is actually going to hurt a lot of the lower level players which are already struggling to do well and catch up in the game. So if you are one of those lower level players, I really want you to pay attention to how different this event is, how much less points you get on each of your attacks, and how much less points you get overall in the event compared to what you normally would spending a certain amount of resources. And if you can, take pictures and screenshots so that you can share them with me, but more importantly on the forums, to help show that this change may not be ideal. Furthermore, defensive power on its own has some limitations in determining which bases are stronger, because a base that is very well built, that has a small number of higher level towers, might have a lower defensive power than a base that has a lot more towers that are lower level. And the ones with more towers at lower level are easier to defeat, even though they have a higher defensive power. So it's not really a true depiction of how strong that base is. But I don't think that this has as many flaws as the simple level determining what the points would get, because obviously we know level has absolutely nothing to do with how strong your base is. Personally, I would like to see PvP event points scaled similarly to how it is in Atlas, where depending on what level or strength or tier you are at, your points would scale based on the difference between where you are at and your enemy is at. So if you attack a player who is half your level and much lower in tiers, you would get very little points. But if you attack a player that is equal level or higher level, you would get more points depending on how much stronger that player is than you. That would allow players who are level 50 or 75 to still get good amount of points from attacking a level 100 or 150, rather than having to suffer much less points because they can't defeat the 400 or 500 level bases. Now, I do think that a level 100 shouldn't necessarily be able to get the same amount of points in each attack as a level 500, but I think they should get closer to max points than they will be with this new change. So once again, when I have more information, I will try to share it as soon as possible, but definitely let me know what you think about these changes. Go on the forums and share your opinions there so PG can hear and take that into consideration and watch how things go with these new changes, and hopefully they'll find a better way to implement what they're trying to do than this current idea. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.